Hi. This week was a real breakthrough week. And when I say breakthrough, what showed up repeatedly was there was a connection in spirit that could clearly see the center of the being, the peace there, the calmness, the space of the void out of which all creativity has the potential to show up. But it showed in that core a depth that was like a breakthrough, that when that was found, the mind was still. There wasn't anybody who I saw this week that wasn't tired, exhausted, found themselves sleeping at times they usually don't sleep, waking up to go, oh my God, where'd the last 2 hours go? And after the sessions, it was like their mind was alive again and energized and not burdened by the thoughts that were exhausting them. So quite a big week. And at times the breakthrough is, much as you want to avoid medical assistance, there is a point of time where it says it's not a choice anymore. You now need the assistance of X, Y, Z, or whatever it was, which then is the capacity of a bridge where one can feel oneself until such time that it is solid again. And you make the call to actually go, I'm good now. So real breakthroughs. One of the breakthroughs, and everybody was striving for whatever that next thing is that was going to give them peace and not feel so much in this survival or loss or whatever was going on. And one was a very accomplished being who is so creative with all the thoughts that to go to the next thing, and what else can we do? And really, the time factor was the most precious, important value in truth. Because when that time factor showed very clearly, unless allocated and really enjoy each aspect as what needs to be done that frees me up to do what I want to do, that has a time allocation. And then to bring in even more thoughts and more ideas, it's like, where are you going to put them? Because the exhaustion came from never having time, not from what was happening. So it was a real breakthrough to see it's time I'm after, not more. And then in sorting that out, there was an excitement and an energy about moving forward rather than an exhaustion of not enough time. That's a wonderful breakthrough. The card that I will read towards the end was the only card that was pulled, openness. To be open, to be able to see it in the frame of time rather than in what else can I do, was a new way, an openness that at the end of the day was the real change, to have that openness. And that element showed up in every session. So there was a couple who were kind of at headlocks where one of the couples was not enjoying a certain interaction in the business, and the other partner saw it as an integral part, as again that bridge that needs to be in place to get to the other side. And what really happened there, which was a big part of this week too, was honesty. And the honesty was, I've been allocated that when I was clear, I wanted nothing to do with it. So the other partner, in the openness, then came to the conclusion of, well, that's mine to do now. You don't need to involve yourself there. I'll take that bit on. So you're freed up and I'm freed up, because it isn't like that wasn't necessary, but the openness to see who would do what bit. And then everyone was content and everything functioned, rather than this being closed to the action and being close to each other. In this openness, the freedom came, the solution came, the bridge arrived. And then the exhaustion goes away because we're not battling. I don't feel myself in this. This doesn't resonate with me. And they're real breakthroughs when you stick to that point and you sort it out. It comes to an openness so the energy again can come through. Another was to do with parenting. And it was to do with parenting when the children are well into their adulthood. And it was very interesting because in dialoguing with her, I was aware that she was very much attempting to not be her mother. And by not wanting to be her mother, which wasn't necessarily the kindest of experiences, she felt she had to be kind all the time. And my experience, as I shared with her, I had a very kind mother. She was so loving, so kind. People saw her as a beautiful, gentle being, and I certainly saw her that way. Now, all my siblings didn't necessarily have that same experience. It's funny how each sibling has a different mother and a different father according to how they perceive it, but that's how I perceive my mum. So I too get to the point where I feel I continuously must be kind, I must not be myself. And the breakthrough with her was that she completely spoke what her truth was. I can't hold this back anymore. I have to say how I see it and what it is for me. And being able to say no was an incredible breakthrough. That this child of hers literally had no concept of coming out of her mother. And even when it did in the past, it meant nothing. It still meant yes to her and went along anyway, which then became a habit. So breaking this and coming to this honesty and being open to that is something I can be is a great big breakthrough. And also a relaxation that she doesn't feel she has to walk on eggshells anymore. That she too can be open. It's not necessarily harmful. It is a two-way street. That too needs to work things out and give the freedom to both sides of the equation. The next breakthrough was rather interesting, and the theme that showed up again was a sense of survival. How am I going to be in the future? With everything that's going on, and the rest of the sessions had that underlying current to it that many people are feeling. And as I've mentioned before, I get a lot of information from which fingers kind of show up, and it was really this element of I've got the capacity of the communication, accountability, productivity, things being normal. Why can't I connect to it? And it was interesting because it went to the center of her palm, and it's like the center of the palm, the center of the tongue, the center of the feng shui is the nothing, is the void, is that potentiality through which all things come. And her breakthrough was very much to see that when you're in that space, there's a deep, deep trust where you know all will be well. And in balancing to that energy, there was this incredible freedom and okayness, because by her not seeing that spot, she actually couldn't see how far she had come and how much everything was okay. See, we can have things as okay, like the first example I had for this person, not seeing the freedom of time was the issue. And when there's time and it's allocated, then it's nothing, then the energy comes. And in this case also, there was, when I came to that core, it's like that energy to continue and to know that all would be well because of the being that she is, where that is an obvious okayness in the future, regardless of what shows up. When we can go to that point of, I'm open to all being well, regardless of what shows, I know I'll be fine. It's a very strong element. The next person, being, I prefer to call them beings actually, the next being came with a deep, deep, unresolvable pain. And what I'll draw it because it'll make more sense. And we all carry an aspect of this. What it is in relationship to is individual. So if she is here with a pain so deep that no other being was capable of being with that pain that she felt, and feeling that pain, what had happened is she felt her friends had fallen away, that people she had a deep soul connection with weren't there for her, and the devastation was so deep that no one could be there for her. And what showed up was there was an energy that she wanted to communicate but could not find the words for. So, of course, the reflection of that would be that others had no words for her either, as a reflection back. Sometimes there are no words. And what she had got in touch with was, okay, if we're here and there's a sense of life, here's life, the veil of life when we cross over and transition. The communication came from many, many generations in the future. And it's like the pain of this will resolve. But it may take many, many, many generations. And if you can feel the truth of that here, now. You can carry the seed of that now and bring it to yourself. Because in between this pain, we've got left, we've got right, we've got black, we've got white, we've got whatever it is that is the opposing views that people fight over. And some of these things are going to take generations to sort out. And the more you feel that, the more you can feel the compassion for those who cannot see it, for those who are in reaction to it. And there's lots of civil reactions to a lot of things at the moment. So the more that calmness can exist in knowing it'll take time and we'll get there. I know this already. And there are no words for that, because when people can't see that, it's equivalent to saying she'll be right, like it doesn't matter. That's not what's going on. So what was lovely here, that when that was realized, the love wasn't something needed for her. What had returned was her love for her friends and the deep connections that she had, because this was felt as a truth within. And when we feel that, we can stand with anyone, you know, and to go into reaction or to be with those who are in reaction, it's just compassion. Compassion. Then the breakthrough that followed was a being who over many, many lifetimes had been in a monastery or a cave, and this element of I must do better, I must do better, I'm still not there yet. And I kind of go, being there might be absolute physical combustion where you literally, boom, disappear, go into the oneness, and is that the answer? What was starting to creep in to the energy was a sense of rebellion, of, can I go against this always having to be better than what I am, not good enough, and how can I? And that's very disturbing in energies when you do not feel good enough. It doesn't mean don't care, don't bother, but when you truly are present and you give all that is showing up now with whoever you're interacting with and be present to it, it's good enough. And that meant breaking lifetimes of energies of striving, flagellating yourself. It's still not good enough. I haven't done enough. So that breakthrough of that was so good. And the breath was able to be so deep, conscious and calm, like a breakthrough of a whole new way of being able to enter into life. And this being was just told recently how, by his own teacher, master teacher, how he had mastered the form. And to actually be able to then hear that as a truth and to move forward with his own art going forward. Massive breakthrough. these are the breakthroughs that are happening. We have broken through. It's funny because twice coming out of the shower this week, I was pondering breakthrough, and both time when I was drying myself off, whatever I was wearing broke. I mean, it's taking it very literally, but there's breakthroughs. The next one had an interesting twist to it. This is a being who early life was part of stolen generation, because that happened to whites as well as blacks. And her life moving forward was so full of generosity and giving and doing. And in that sense of doing and giving, she felt this wonderful control in life. You know, what do you want me to bring? I'll bring it. Or without even thinking, you know, a week's worth of soup to nourish you would arrive. This totally creative, both in artistic ways and in nutritional ways, were part of her life, and she was totally in control of it. And the breakthrough here was, you know, in her 80th plus nearly 90 years, coming to terms with what she was not in control of. That's a breakthrough. It's a big breakthrough. And the breakthrough is when people lie, when people move against you, when people say things that aren't actually true, you're not in control of that. But what you are in control of is an element of being able to go, not with this duck. Rather than getting upset that you're not in control of the lie, you can find a strength within yourself to say, I am clear in the holding of the space until we get clear about what this is. But that meant accepting we're not in control of other people's behavior, but we are in control of how we stand in it. And it was amazing because that element truly had such a disturbance in her whole physical body that the ability to stand in it allowed the standing, the walking, the being, the energizing, the digestion. And because the digestion was so affected by it, there was another element that actually showed up twice, which I found very interesting. To when you eat with such enjoyment that your body is able to nurture and nourishing itself. Because in the non-digestion of what's going on, the body wasn't digesting, the body puts on weight, the body gets congested. But to start savoring the food so that, because you feel the enjoyment of it. And you know how sometimes you eat and you keep eating, but the enjoyment's gone. You can stop then. I'm sorry about the messages coming through. So there was strength, enormous strength in that. And the last one was quite interesting. Again, this sense of more, what will I do? So much is happening, so much is falling into place. What's the next bit? And what showed up here was a really deep sense. It may not be in everybody. I think it is in everybody, whether it is because it's either an internal marriage or a marriage that we enjoy in life. And what showed up here is that regardless of the next bit of joy, the next thing you're doing, underlying there is a desire for a marriage. And of course this being go, what? You gotta be joking, how could that show up? Blah, blah, blah. But the more he sat with it, there's a deep knowing that this is true And knowing that's true brought about such a relaxation that that relationship does not have to show up right now. But knowing it's there gave a basis for all the other things that are happening. And again, the energy came back. And again, it also showed up with enjoy your food. Enjoy it, savor it. Stop saying I have to only eat this and that and I can't alter from it, because at some point, maybe we can take the D of diet. To enjoy, to savor, to be in life. And when you do, you naturally will know when it's not enjoyable anymore. There is a point where you're just doing it. That's not enjoying it. But if you consciously enjoy every mouthful, you'll know when it's enough and nourish your body. So only one card showed up, openness. I decided to pull another one, just 'cause, and it was change. So I will read that out first. Nothing stays the same. Everything is meant to change. Do not feel insecure within change. Rather embrace the diversity and dance in the face of what may seem like an upheaval, as all breakthroughs are. Transitions may create shifts of awareness or alterations of physical situations. Life is a constant stream of changes. See the growth that emerges, enjoy the results of the transformation, then let go and allow more change, breakthrough. I call it becoming. So, openness is the card. Openness creates an allowance of the self to be without judgment. Openness breaks down barriers, melts away fears, and allows creativity and communication to flow. Check your feelings. When you're being open, there'll be no need to be defensive. Let go all levels of fear, doubt, worry, and concern, and what you have left will be confidence, self-esteem, and love, all of which functions very well with openness. And when that takes place, that is an automatic. May you have many, many breakthroughs and much, much love.